Indiana Fever many fans is still poking fingers at head coach Stephanie White for actually making the game not entertaining anymore, bro. This motion offense has to be addressed, and Stephanie White has to be held accountable because it's truly the offense that she's running, and it is not for Caitlin Clark at this point. Now, both Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White spoke to the media immediately.
What actually took place behind the scenes? This isn't your typical news conference, so you'll have to see it to believe it. Caitlin Clark just dropped a brutally honest bombshell regarding her health, and she didn't hold back on Stephanie White. Was it shade? Was it true? Was it wrapped in a jump shot? And was it served cold? Nope. This is an uncensored video of Caitlin. Let's just say that everyone is jaw-dropping and grabbing popcorn.
I thought at times we could have played a little bit faster, and I think that's on me, not conceding in that. We still got to play up tempo. We still got to play fast. But I thought for the most part we did a lot of stuff that coach wanted us to do, and that wasn't why we lost.
I can't hold you, man. That kind of looked like she let that slip out, man. I don't know. But we all see it. When they play slow, it's just not a good team, man. They're not as good as we see that they could be, right? So they need to play fast, man. I think, they don't necessarily look that good when they're playing half-court ball. Maybe taking something from the Valkyries, man. The Valkyries run, all right? They be running.
She appears worn out. Spiritually dehydrated but not exhausted, while the WNBA puts every obstacle in her path like a warped version of American Ninja Warrior. But with worse officials and even worse coaches, Caitlin Clark is surviving on coffee, fumes, and pure resolve. The hardwood is forgotten as this woman navigates landmines.
The league needs to take care of Caitlin, not for special treatment purposes, but that's who everybody's there to see. Everybody wants to see Caitlin Clark play. And if you let other teams and other people beat the shit out of her, she's going to spend 2 weeks out injured. And your attendance is going to drop because people aren't going to get the chance to see her. And if you actually want to be paid the same as the NBA players, obviously not by actual dollar for dollar, but for revenue percentage, you need to protect her. You need her to be playing at her best and not be having the
Referees must have thought she was a tackling dummy. But in addition to being the face of hope growth and ticket sales, she has also become their favorite chew toy. This isn't just missed calls anymore. It's a full-fledged experimental science project where referees test how many illegal screens and shoulder bumps one player can take before becoming emotional jelly.
Las Vegas Aces defeated the Indiana Fever 89-81. And this game was disappointing for many fans, not only for the fact that it seemed like the Fever had this one in the bag, but they kind of gave it away at the end of the game, but also because it seemed like there was something off with this Fever team. They didn't have the same energy and spark that we all know and love. So many fans are asking, what is going?
The whistles have changed into wind instruments that only play when she is the one acting. And all of a sudden the rule book seems like a chaos-written choose-your-own-adventure book. If someone sneezes on her, it continues to play, but if she breathes close to someone, that is a flagrant 2 and a 5-game suspension.
I have figured out the solution to the Indiana Fever's problems. Hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. This is what we got to do. We got to put Caitlin Clark off ball. We need to run a motion offense. So when the defense takes away what Caitlin Clark does best, we have other players that can still perform. So when she does have bad games, we're not completely dead in the water. I think that is the best way to move forward with this Indiana Fever team.
Physicality is illegal, not metaphorically legitimately suspicious. There are muggings with less contact at this point. And we might need to investigate whether some of these defenders have brass knuckles taped under their wristbands. Additionally, what is the league response to crickets or worse, passive-aggressive Instagram posts that act as though nothing is wrong while their biggest star is slammed into irrelevance? Don't even get started on Indiana. The atmosphere is so depressing that it feels like a haunted group therapy session fueled by Gatorade and broken dreams. It seems as though Caitlin entered a franchise made entirely of IKEA furniture, which is brittle, unstable, and difficult to assemble. You would think Indiana would throw a lavish party for a generational talent, but instead they gave her a paper towel and directed her to a leaking faucet. She is attempting to play 4D chess while her teammates are occupied with playing hungry hippos. There is no system, no guidance, just vibrations, and not the good kind. The offense is vague, the defense is non-existent, and Stephanie White is somehow on the sidelines creating plays like she's playing Pictionary with invisible ink.
First, talk about Caitlin Clark. So she struggled once again in this game. She was 7 for 20 from the field and 1 for 10 from 3, which puts her at 1 for 17 over the past few games. And if you're a fan of Caitlin Clark, you know that this is so unlike her. She is arguably the best shooter in the WNBA, and she is having a significant cold streak over the past 2 games. But her missing shots isn't actually what bothers me. The thing that bothered me most in the game yesterday was the one shot that she passed up. Now, she had been missing a few shots, and if you guys were on my live stream, I said the thing that she needs to do is to continue shooting. Shooters shoot. The only way to break a cold streak is to continue shooting.
Stephanie White is standing there pointing as if she's getting coffee in a noisy drive-thru, and every time Clark looks to the bench, it's like he's staring into space. As the game devolves farther into pandemonium, it's interpretive dancing rather than coaching. The players are having a full-blown existential crisis as they try to figure out which version of the plan they're following. Park's game used to be crisp and electric, but now it seems like it's buffering and her passes are a little late. 1 minute she demands fast pace, the next she yells about patience. She is hesitant where she formerly attacked with reckless genius because her confidence is a little shaken. To be honest, who wouldn't try to play basketball at the highest level while continually watching your back for flying elbows and your bench for indications of sensible life at this rate? This league is meant to protect and elevate its stars, not reduce them to dusty highlight reels and regret. But here she is being slowly drained by a league that begged for her brilliance but forgot how to nurture it. Caitlin is going to need a sabbatical, an exorcist, or perhaps both, because what is being done to her is psychological warfare rather than just bad basketball.
Wait, what'd you say? Wait, what? Did you just tell me that Stephanie White went on an interview tour this whole entire offseason saying exactly that? Did you just tell me Stephanie White went on an interview? So how come when Caitlin Clark has a bad game, this team looks like absolute dog shit? How come when Caitlin Clark isn't busy backpacking this team, it looks like absolute dog shit, coach? Just a question. Just a question. What we saw today, folks, I feel bad for everybody that had to sit through that. Everybody that wasted 2 hours and 25 minutes watching the Indiana Fever versus the Las Vegas Aces. I feel bad that we had to sit through that. That was a tough watch.
And to top it all off, she hasn't even reached her sophomore stride yet. This is supposed to be the glow-up season, the big leap, the I know what I'm doing now phase. Instead, she's trying to survive the Hunger Games with a water pistol and a group of mismatched teammates, and while the fan base is yelling for help, league officials are out here playing Sudoku with rules that are almost poetic in a tragic Shakespearean way. Stephanie White is a generational talent trapped in a Groundhog Day remake, where every game is just a remix of disappointment and bruised ribs, and she keeps grinning through press conferences as if she's unlocked some master plan that only exists in parallel dimensions.
Well, I think you have to look at things a little bit holistically. I think Caitlin Clark is a really hard player to officiate, much like Diana Taurasi was throughout the course of her career, for a couple of reasons. Caitlin Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her.
She requires a strategy of escape. The longer she remains in this mental whirlpool, the more difficult it will be for her to recover. No, this isn't just about losing games. It's about losing her identity as a player while the league looks on helplessly. It's perplexing that they brought in every camera and sponsorship deal as soon as she turned pro, but now they're letting her fade behind post entries and aimless dribble handles. She's not just any player, she's the reason people are watching, and yet they're treating lineups like a Pinterest board, constantly experimenting with rotations that make no sense. If no one is going to save her, she needs to save herself, because this is the kind of environment that doesn't just mess with your stats, it messes with your soul. Honestly, she deserves better, and the fans deserve better.
Well, I'll be damned. I be damned. 7 for 20 from the field, 1 for 10 from the three-point line. And look at those turnovers, 8 turnovers. She leads the league in turnovers. But guess what? Her Clarkies are only going to be impressed, and they're going to brag about the 19 points and 10 assists. Me personally, I'm all about efficiency. I'm concerned about those last 3, them turnovers, which she leads the league in turnovers. She is shooting horrible from the field. And as far as them three-pointers, in the last 2 games...
Therefore, Caitlin Clark should start packing her bags unless Indiana finds a coach who understands the difference between motion offense and chaotic flailing. If she stays much longer, we won't be witnessing the rise of a superstar, but rather the demise of a legend under bad whistles, apathy, and Stephanie White's enchanted tour of tactical confusion. She is on the court in the interim, but she is not even close to running the show. Caitlin Clark appears to be stuck in a dystopian stage play where she is the lead but is never permitted to speak. Her movements and talent are unaffected, but the authority, leadership, and spark of command that once made her the center of attention in the basketball universe are being smothered, dimmed, and erased. Caitlin Clark isn't being developed, rather, she is being dismantled piece by piece, much like a car being dismantled for parts in a back alley garage, and everyone is behaving as though nothing unusual is happening, as though being gaslit into insignificance is a character development exercise. Spoiler alert, disguised as a beautiful WNBA logo, it's actually a gradual, vicious, soul-sucking drain that
Indiana Fever were trying to be that team that runs you off the floor, that hustles. I felt like they were the deepest team. Like, looking at the roster, man, they actually have some players that could run the floor. And I'm just like, dang, bro, it's really crazy to see that they're not really trying to run the floor like I would expect them to. And also using Michaela Timpson. Like, that is some young pair of legs, man. You should be using Michaela Timpson to help you run the floor, play lockdown defense, hustle defense, winning the 50-50 balls. You need young legs to do that, man.
Additionally, she is still present and standing, but at what cost? Each game adds another layer of injuries. She is surviving on fumes and wrath, and the toll is evident in her physical and mental reputation. The body language stiffens and the smiles tighten. The fire's burning beneath a heap of bullshit, and worst of all, it's deliberate erosion rather than an accident. Let's not act like this is just about one team. It's about the entire league letting the mob loose on her and then shrugging like it's all part of the culture. Apparently, we needed that little sideswipe to round out the madness. A man who could have offered wisdom or solidarity chose to go into full demolition mode without warning or context, just a condescending wrecking ball of unwarranted shade directed directly at a 22-year-old navigating the biggest circus in sports right now, as if she needed more reasons to doubt everything. It wasn't critique, it was character defamation with varsity credentials. That was sabotage, loud, unnecessary, and incredibly unhelpful. It didn't clarify anything, just added more bitterness to an already poisonous soup. It was the kind of dismissive rubbish that hurts 10 times worse coming from someone who should know better.
But this is a regular season game. There's no player that's going to be that depressed about a loss. The emotion that she's having right now, that's emotion that you have when you lose a championship. But they didn't lose a championship. So it's only one other thing. It's the coach. I knew something was up, y'all. I played basketball all my life. I played point guard. There was something off about Miss Caitlin when I was watching that Aces game. And I couldn't put my finger on it. It just seemed like Miss Caitlin, she was definitely unmotivated. She looked defeated the whole game. She didn't look like she was having fun.
And let's not forget about the animosity from other players because, my goodness, this is a masterclass in professional jealousy turned blood sport. They aren't just trying to outdo her. They're actively trying to make her look bad by pushing her, elbowing her, and jawing at her as if it were open mic night for every small grievance in the league. The fouls aren't sneaky anymore, they're practically part of the choreography, and somehow that's the energy that's being allowed to flourish. No one is stepping in, and no one is pulling the emergency brake because they are too busy raking in the ratings while the golden goose gets pecked to death. Every day is a house of horrors, with a toxic feedback loop that keeps rewarding the chaos while destroying everything. It's not about competition, it's about control. It's not just infuriating, it's physically nauseating, like watching a masterpiece get spray painted with insults in slow motion while everyone applauds. If you think that's dramatic, ask yourself why the league's biggest draw is also its most targeted punching bag. Caitlyn is a symbol of grace, precision, leadership, and elevation. They don't want her to shine, they want her to survive barely, shrink, and second-guess every move. This is deliberate sabotage, not a chance.
Any professional athlete or any ball player is not having fun on the field because this is the game they love. They've been loving this since they was a kid. Because the only reason the player is not having a good time playing the game that they love is because the coach is trying to put shackles on them, trying to control them too much. With a player like Caitlyn, you gotta let them loose. This is something that Steve Kerr had to realize when he was dealing with Steph. Steph was shooting all them logo threes. He was shooting all the shots early in the shot clock. Steve Kerr would shake his head. He'd be like, oh, what are you doing? But after a while, he had to let this player do his thing. Bro, that was the first time I ever seen Caitlyn Clark walk the ball down the court.
We're talking about a player who attracted millions of viewers to the league, sold out arenas, inspired a new generation, and converted casual viewers into ardent fans. Instead of protecting her, the WNBA subjected her to a gauntlet of resentment and let it rip because nothing expresses gratitude for saving the franchise like ritual humiliation in prime time, but she continues to play through clenched teeth and bruised pride. The real harm is the emotional whiplash that she endures every day while she's forced to perform in a theater of absurdity where the rules change hourly and the stage crew actively despises her. Throughout it all, she's expected to be the brand ambassador, the perfect role model, and the face of a league that won't even support her when she's being treated like a chew toy. This is not player development. Rather, it is a public sacrifice, and you can see it in her eyes right now. She is so exhausted that no amount of rest can ease her quiet frustration at recognizing that doing things the right way is pointless when the system is designed to punish you for simply existing.
But I don't think Stephanie White is like a fan of Caitlyn's demon time and, you know, her getting all riled up and pumping up the crowd. I don't think she's a fan of that shit. Some coaches, like, they don't like that shit. For example, when Allen Iverson came into the league, him and Larry Brown did not get along because Larry Brown used to tell him to tone it down and not be himself and stuff like that. But I think that's what's going on with this team right now. Because when I was watching that game, man, it just did not feel right. Like, she just looked like she was just so sad about playing. It felt like she was being forced to play a certain type of way.
This horror narrative was not something Caitlyn Clark signed up for. They say that adversity develops character, but this goes beyond that. Her hardships are good for TV, and her torment garners clicks. The true horror story is that she signed up to play elite basketball and elevate the game, but instead she got a front row seat to a league-wide identity crisis that is using her as a scapegoat and a punching bag in equal measure. She deserves better, the sport deserves better, and if this league is interested in surviving, it must stop treating its brightest light like a fire hazard because once Caitlyn Clark walks away, and if things continue as they are, it won't just be her leaving. It will be all of the fans who came for the magic and stayed for the hope, and no amount of damage control or PR gimmick will save them because the truth will be obvious. They didn't just let the star fall, they pushed her every day. Every play, every sneer, every non-all, and every eye roll from the bench. They didn't protect her, they erased her, and they will be left wondering why the lights went out after they extinguished their own flame.